Today I'm going to get started on building the stand for this grinder, and I've made a little bit of a SketchUp model here. I printed out the first page just to handwrite the measurements on for the major components. This is not all there is to it, but this is the basic structure. So the first thing I need to do is to make those frame parts that are on the front and the back, and I'm going to be cutting those from 2x8 that's been drying. I bought this several months ago and it's well seasoned. So I'll cut what you could call the legs to 1.5 by 1.5, and the stretchers that go across the top 1.5 also. And then there's braces in the corners which are 5 inches wide at the top and 10 inches tall, and they get fastened into the corners of these frames with plywood gussets. So you're probably wondering what's with all the fancy shots. Well, this is going to be a full build video on my other channel, so I'm trying to, get the shots for that. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put these frames together here on my table saw because my workbench is kind of full of stuff, so this is the only surface big enough to do it. I already assembled the other side. Now I'm just going to get this one put together. And let's get some glue on the end of the leg, getting in position, and driving a screw. Now I'm going to get more glue on this, the corner brace. This is polyurethane construction adhesive. And the reason why I'm using that is because it's damn cold in my shop and regular glue won't set up. Just going to drive another screw in from the top. Then I can drive another 2 from the side here. Oh, that was the wrong place because it went through the other side. Now I've got another 1/2 inch plywood gusset. I'm just going to get some glue on that as well. A little bit hard to squeeze because this tube is cold. Get that in position and drive a bunch of nails. Now that the frames are put together, I'm using my saw board here to cut up the plywood. Made the first cut, and now I'm going to move that out of the way so that I can cut the other one to the right width. I'm going to get the 2 side panels out of this sheet, or this half of a sheet, and the top out of the other one. That'll leave me more to do the stuff that comes underneath. One side fastened with glue and nails. Flip it over and do the same with the other side. And now that the sides are kept, I can stand it up and measure for the top. Because the plywood is not exactly ½ inch thick, that's the reason why I'm doing this. Normally the top would be 36 inches. And this one's going to be 35 and 15/16, so I'm not far off. I've got the saw boards and they're made for this saw, this battery saw, but you know, this is fairly new, but I've already dropped it. And it's very easy to knock it out of alignment when you drop it because the parts are just, you know, mild steel. They're not really beefy or anything like that. It just takes a hard knock and everything's way out of whack. So what I was thinking was I would turn this saw into a kind of a track saw, you know, a plunge type track saw. Take this base off and build another base, one that, you know, plunges in, and will guide the saw in exactly perfectly right, and then make a couple of guide tracks that would, you know, the saw would fit right onto, just like the real ones do. So let me know in the comments what you think of that. I've been thinking about that off and on for about a year and may actually do it at some point. Well, that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to continue the project tomorrow. What I'm doing right now is just flushing up the little bit that's sticking out the end here. You know, it's not really that important, but if I want the trim that goes around this to fit properly, then it has to be cut back. A little tiny bit. So I'm going to finish this up, this part tomorrow, and get started on what's going underneath, because there's two more things that go underneath. I haven't quite figured out how that's going to be. I'm going to work on the plan a little bit tonight and maybe tomorrow morning before I decide.